All right, guys, so many of you have sent me this video of this amazing speech that, quite honestly, I'm going to listen to it again. If I start crying, okay, don't judge me, right? If I start crying on camera, don't judge me, okay? Because this speech was so powerful, okay? And this speech basically is talking about, you know, the vaccine mandate in relation to the Constitution and the vision that our founding fathers had for this country in regards to the relationship between the government and the people, okay? And I found her delivery in this speech to be absolutely amazing. And this speech was actually done a few weeks ago at, you know, a protest of New York City's vaccine mandate. But again, it is going viral in light of the Freedom Convoy, what's going on in Canada. And as the Freedom Convoy and, you know, what they're doing is spreading not just to the US, but it seems to be going global, right? It seems to be Black Lives Matter all over again, except the cause for this protest is actually legitimate and actually mostly peaceful. That's kind of what's happening, right? So with that being said, before I get into this, I want to say this. Miss Tricia Lindsay, she's a civil rights attorney. I don't know her political affiliation. However, her political affiliation doesn't really matter to me because the things that she's saying in this video are so true, right? And I think political affiliation really doesn't matter when it comes to the truth, right? But with that being said, politics, again, regardless of what her politics actually are, they need more people like her in government, okay? At the very least, she understands the relationship between the government and the people, and how the people ultimately, in the end of the day, are supposed to be the ones with the power, right? And she understands the dangers of a tyrannical government that has become drunk on power, like our modern day government has, right? So at the very least, she understands, you know, the Constitution, the vision of the founding fathers, and how that relates to today. And that, to me, is more than a lot of these politicians that are currently in office, right? So she definitely needs to run for something, okay? So without being said, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this video. I'm not gonna react to the whole thing. I'll just play some parts that I thought were interesting because it's a long speech, and I'll link to the full speech in the description if you guys want to check it out.
We are at war for our family, our children, our lives. The 14th Amendment gives us due process. It guarantees us equal protection under the laws. So why in the world are the unvaccinated being treated differently than the vaccinated?
Facts, right? Facts. Why in the world are the unvaccinated being treated differently than the vaccinated, especially if we're supposed to be equal under the law, right? Listen, here's the thing, man. Here's the thing. With the science, right? The science surrounding, you know, the vaccines and this virus and the things that we know, right? We don't have to get into the details necessarily. The argument for segregation, right, in society based off vaccination status, is pretty weak, right? It is very, very, very weak at this point, okay? But that's something that they forced upon us for the last year, telling us and promising us things when the science wasn't fully developed on the vaccines, right? And then lo and behold, what we know now, again, seems that the segregation and divisiveness that has been pushed on society by people like Fauci and CNN doctors was not justified, okay? And it was never justified from the get-go. But again, a lot of this stuff really was about creating more divisiveness in society. It was about power, control, and money. It wasn't necessarily about public health, okay?
It is the new segregation. It is the new discrimination.
Again, I find it, again, fascinating how the same people on the left, right, Joe Biden, he's quick to invoke Jim Crow and the Confederacy when it comes to a fake issue like voting rights, right, a non-existent issue made up by the Democrats. They're quick to invoke that, right, and talk about how it is racist to require people to have an ID to vote, right? It's discriminatory. But however, when it comes to the discrimination based off vaccination status, in which you have a vaccine hesitant group, black people are disproportionately more vaccine hesitant than other groups, you don't hear anything. Crickets, right? Crickets. For whatever reason, they have nothing to say whatsoever about that segregation that's being created, where you have black people that do not have access to certain goods and services simply based off of their vaccination status. But again, these are the people that claim that they care so much about black people and black people having equal rights, when there's a situation being created by them in which there are black people who don't have equal rights. And obviously this applies to other groups of people as well. I'm just pointing this out because, you know, the Democrats are the ones that act like they're race crusaders, like they're on the right side of history when it comes to civil rights, that they, you know, are for black people so much and against discrimination, but not when it comes to their own policies. They don't give a damn about black people when it comes to the discrimination from these mandates, right? They don't give a damn about that. They don't give a damn about how you feel, okay? In regards to black people's history when it comes to this type of stuff.
And we have to stop it. Government for the people, by the people, will not be destroyed. We have to recognize our power. We are magistrates. What is happening here today, what is happening around our state and in our city, is people are invoking the doctrine of the lesser magistrates. And most of you probably don't even understand what that is, and don't even understand what I'm talking about. Well, the doctrine of the lesser magistrates is the doctrine upon which this country was founded. It is the basis of the 10th Amendment, which says that any authority that is not given to the federal government is reserved to the states. And if our local leaders fail to protect its citizens and fails to step between a tyrannical federal government and its citizens, fails to protect the rights of its citizens, then those rights and authority is extended and given to the people.
Yeah, basically what that means is that if the state government fails to step between the federal government, right, trying to impose unconstitutional power that it doesn't have on the people, then yeah, you got to get rid of that state government, right? That those officials need to be voted out.
We the people is how the Constitution starts. A magistrate is a person that operates under authority. They have power. There are higher magistrates and there are lesser magistrates. The founding fathers of this country understood that there's going to come a point in time where the federal government will need to be checked. If not, they will become tyrants. And that is what's happening now. So, the Declaration of Independence says that everyone, by virtue of being a human being, has the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The federal government, too, the federal government, their purpose is to protect the rights of those citizens, the rights of us to our life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. The third point of that document is if they fail to protect its citizens and enforce those rights, the citizens have a right to revolt.
All right, so I just want to say this in response to that. Isn't it nice? I'm just saying, I gotta keep it 100. This is what I'm thinking. Isn't it nice to see a black woman, right, truly appreciate the founding fathers and the founding documents of our country, right? Most of the time when you hear people, you know, talk about the founding documents and our founding fathers, particularly people that, you know, are black or whatever, or people of color, it's always in a negative light. It's always about, oh, the founders had slaves and such and such and such and such. When this woman right here, you know, she's an attorney. Obviously, she studied this stuff. She knows way more about it than I do, okay? But obviously, she has an appreciation for what the vision of the founders were, and she understands that while they were not perfect, they understood the role of the federal government when it comes to the people and protecting the rights of the people, right? And how over time, you know, as the country evolves and grows, that would extend to everybody, right? Despite what the founders may or may not have been doing at the time, at the end of the day, they had a vision for this country that was designed to make sure that the government did not overstep their boundaries, right? It's just very refreshing to see somebody really have an appreciation for that, right? I absolutely love it. You don't usually see this type of stuff from people that look like her. And I think that's a part of why this speech is so impactful, right? When people listen to this.
Do you understand? We have a right to resist. And and we have an obligation and a duty to do so. Do you understand? Do you understand when it says a duty to step between a tyrannical government and its laws? They are coming for our children. We cannot sit down. Every great leader knows, every one of them, even the bad ones know, that if you want to affect the country, you go for its children. When in the world do we start using children as bulletproof vests for us? When in the world do we start testing things on children? It comes to us first. And when you come for our children, you have started a war.
Yeah, so honestly, I would take it even further, right? I would apply this to all types of things that's going on in school, right? In terms of, pushing the gender ideology on children, okay, pushing racial indoctrination on children. The left, they're trying to push a whole lot of things on kids, okay? So I think what she's talking about here, I think goes further than just, what she's talking about in regards to these mandates, but also when it comes to, again, the woke ideology of the left, right? There's clearly an effort to, target kids with, this type of rhetoric and ideology in order to get them from an early age to believe this stuff, right? And to embrace this stuff, okay? Essentially trying to turn the kids into activists, right? To future voters of the Democrat Party and adherents to the woke ideology of the government, okay?
And they have declared war, and we are answering to that war.
All right, so I want to fast forward here to another part of this speech. I'm
a former educator of 24 years. They stopped teaching them years ago. You just didn't know.
Facts. Literally what I was just telling you guys about. What they're actually teaching kids now has everything to do with, again, woke ideology, and has nothing to do with reading, writing, math, science, any of that stuff, right? They're teaching kids how to be social justice activists, okay, and voters for the Democrat Party. That's what they're doing.
That's true. You just didn't know. Education went to hell years ago. They taught them compliance. They stopped teaching them to think. Analytical thought went out the window with state exams. Those state exams are just being used to track your children, to determine who's going to college, to train them to support this God-forsaken system, or the rest that's going elsewhere. They have
Facts. Again, in my opinion, what it sounds like she's saying, they're not teaching kids how to think anymore. They're teaching kids what to think, right? And we know for sure when you go to college, they're not teaching you how to think. They teach you what to think, right? They're not teaching kids real job skills anymore, okay? Kids can't get good jobs or have any job skills coming out of high school because they don't learn anything, right? They don't learn anything. What they're supposed to be learning, they don't even know that. They don't even know how to read, write, and do math. They don't know basics. So these kids are coming out of school, right, after taking all these tests, right, they're supposed to evaluate their ability to do this stuff. They still graduate and they don't know anything. And they don't have any skills to get good jobs. And the ones that do know something, they have to go to college to get a good job, right? And even if you go to college, you still might not be able to get a good job because they don't teach you any real skills in college. They teach you how to be woke, right? Again, she's really hitting a lot of key points here. And it's not just about the vaccine mandate, but there's a lot of problems with our government and our education system in our society today. And I think she's really touching home on a lot of that stuff. And this is, again, why you need women like this in politics, regardless of her political associations, to be quite honest with you.
Pushed us into prison. I don't care how you look at it. If you're in corporate America, you're imprisoned by your lifestyle. If you're in the government, you're imprisoned by your job with good benefits. You understand? If you are on subsidy, you're imprisoned by their benefits.
Facts. What she's talking about is dependence, right? I definitely can relate to the corporate America thing because I definitely felt like a slave when I was in corporate America. And that's not to say that it's actually slavery, right? Obviously, I'm not saying that it's actually slavery. What I'm saying is that the relationship that it creates is a relationship of dependence, okay? In which you can be compelled to do certain things that you otherwise wouldn't want to do because of that relationship of dependence, right? And I think that that's what she's getting at when she talks about, you know, corporate America, you know, having a nice cushy government job, or, you know, get a subsidy from the government. When you have that relationship of dependence, now all of a sudden, right, if this entity, the government or corporate America, says, hey, you got to do this, you got to do that, then you got to make a choice, right? You either do it, you either comply, or you lose your job. You lose your means of feeding your family. I think that's what she's getting at when she talks about this, right? Again, I'm not going to say it's actually slavery. It's not actually slavery, but again, it's the relationship of dependence. And that's why, you know, I've always been a more entrepreneurial type of person, because I don't necessarily like that relationship. Okay, that's why I couldn't wait to get out of corporate America, because of that relationship, right? You know, you can't compel a business owner to do something when he owns the business, right? When you have your own company, when you're running stuff, nobody can compel you to do anything except the customers, right? The customer is always right. You're always gonna have a boss, right? The viewers are your boss as well too, right? So when it comes to, you know, YouTube, besides Daddy Google, right? You guys, right? I am subject to, you know, you guys and what you guys think, okay? Which I would much rather have that relationship directly with the people than I would with some corporate entity, and to be quite honest with you. But I'm just saying, you got to understand that relationship and what that relationship actually means. Not saying it's necessarily bad, but I'm just saying people got to understand that, right? And I think that's something that she's getting at here, dependence. And when you're dependent on something, then you have to bend to their will, right? So when corporate America says, hey, here's a vaccine mandate, you got to take it, you know, I'm just saying, I think that's kind of what she's getting at here.
We have to get out their system, pull yourself out, pull your dollars out, and level it. All they care about is money.
Facts.
And you can see it with the flip-flopping of the guidelines and of the requirements, and who's at work and who's not at work, and what court says this and another court says that. We have to hold them all accountable. They want to rewrite the Constitution. I'm ready with my pen, because there's some changes that needs to be made in this country. So they better be careful who they pull to the table. They better be careful what table is spread, because I got some ideas, and I'm sure everybody here does too.
Yeah, so if you guys want to check out that whole speech, right, I think that, again, the speech was very powerful. It gives me goosebumps every time I watch it, right? But I can't play the whole thing because it's long, and this video would be 40 minutes long if I reacted to everything she said. So with that being said, hey, like I said, her name is Tricia Lindsay. If you guys want to look her up, you guys want to check her out, I'm pretty sure that, you know, she's going to get a whole lot of interest, right, based off these speeches that she's giving that I think are very impactful. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.